Is the CSC Wolf 125 a better motorcycle than Honda's Trail 125? What does better even mean? What does any of this mean? Hey folks, last week CSC announced the pricing of their latest model, the Wolf 125. At $1,995, it undercuts Honda's Trail 125 by quite a bit. You may notice that this bike looks an awful lot like the Zongshin Cub, and there's a reason for that. It is the Zongshin Cub, just legal on the streets of America. So why should you or anybody else care about this bike? Well, Big Red has owned the mini moto market since they created it. One more option out there is never a bad thing. Not to mention, you can't even get a trail in many areas of America without ridiculous markups, if you can find one at all. I paid almost $1,000 extra for mine last year, and no argument, it was too much. These two bikes are quite similar. They don't have all kinds of bells and whistles. They do both have EFI, electric, and kickstart. They're not performance bikes. They're both less than 10 horsepower. With that amount of power, the rider really dictates the performance of the bike more than the bike itself. If you weigh a lot, it's not going to perform well. If you don't weigh a lot, it's going to perform better. Doesn't matter which bike you're on. The major difference is, there's a couple. The CSC doesn't have ABS and it doesn't have a rear disc. They opted to go with a drum brake. The Honda's braking is not great to begin with, so I can only imagine the CSC model will be even worse. The Wolf is only 5cc smaller, but comparable power. The bore is a little larger, but most people in their right minds aren't touring on this bike, so you won't really notice that. Most of the differences really have more to do with the companies themselves than the bikes. One's made in China, one's made in Thailand, but that doesn't really mean anything. Most factories can make a good product. It all depends on what the buyer wants. It's difficult to compete against Honda quality, and I don't think they're trying to. CSC's quality has been always a little bit less than others, but not that much so. Their prices are lower, so gotta cut corners somewhere. Besides, Honda clones last almost as long or just as long as actual Hondas, and I see no reason why this wouldn't be reliable. Zongshin makes a motor or two or a million every year, so they kind of know how to make a motor. Dealer and aftermarket support might be a deal breaker on this bike for some. Unless you're within driving distance of Azusa, California, I wouldn't consider the location to be convenient. But does that really matter? When I bought my Trail 125, when it left the dealership, I never intended for it to go back, and I still don't. Whether there's a dealer close by or not doesn't really matter to me. As far as accessories go, if you want to get Honda accessories, they only sell 2 in America, not much of an option. For just about everything else, you have to ship things over from Japan or Thailand or some other Asian country. CSC is going to carry all the normal parts that they carry for all their other bikes. Plus, they're going to carry quite a bit of accessories you can buy directly from them, and you don't have to pay crazy shipping fees to get things across the Pacific. So I call this a draw. So now let's circle back to price, which is probably the most important thing and why we're even talking about this and why this is a viable bike. In order to have the Wolf shipped to your door, it's going to cost you about $2,800, and then you got to pay taxes and fees and all that other stuff on your own to your local government and DMV. The Trail is going to set you back $43.99 plus all those same things if you can find one, and that's another issue. If you can find one. There's still waiting lists, and there's a good chance that if you're watching this video, you've either been on a waiting list or you're still on a waiting list. You could find one used, but at least around here, the used ones are going for basically new or more, so that's not that much of a better option. And if you want the original Trail from 40 years ago, they're still going for $2,000 to $3,000, and then you got to deal with a 6-volt electrical system and whatever gremlins are hanging out in a 40-year-old motorcycle. Is the Wolf better than the Trail? Well, that really depends on what you mean by better. If these two bikes were the same price, I'd go for the Honda for the resale value and the rear disc brake. But they're not the same price. And even if the Wolf is 60% of the bike that the Honda is, it's still a better value. It's not going to explode the second you get it off the lot. It comes with a 1-year unlimited mileage warranty. And it'll do all the things that a bike like this is intended to do, and most of the things that the bike isn't intended to do. If I didn't have the Trail already, I'd be shopping for a Wolf. Even with a Trail in my garage, currently broken for reasons, I'm still considering getting a Wolf, but I have a disease that only more motorcycles will cure. Are you considering a Wolf 125? Should I buy one, even though I have a Trail? Let me know in the comments. And consider, subscribing to the channel. We're less than 130 subscribers away from me trying to do 1,000 miles in 24 hours on my Trail 125, And later on this year, we're going to be featuring a lot of sidecar motorcycle stuff with my one-eyed rescue dog. So that should be fun. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.